Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for taking the time today to watch this video in our series related to the NACE Career Readiness Competencies. We're fortunate today to be joined by Kristin Walmer, Human Resources Business Partner at AstraZeneca. Kristin, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. We'll dive right into the first question, which is, can you please introduce yourself, your role, and a little bit more about your organization?
Sure. So I'm Kristin Walmer. I'm a human resources business partner at AstraZeneca. AstraZeneca is a global company that's science-led and patient-focused on pharmaceuticals and producing pharmaceuticals for patients around the world. I specifically am based in our Frederick manufacturing location in Frederick, Maryland, which supports our biological division of pharmaceuticals.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kristin. And which career readiness competency are you going to discuss today, and how does NACE define that competency?
Equity and inclusion. And so NACE defines equity and inclusion as the demonstrating the awareness, attitude, knowledge, and skills required to equitably engage and include people from different local and global cultures, engage in anti-racist practices that actively challenge the system, structures, and policies of racism.
Thank you. And now let's make that connection. How does this competency and some of the sample behaviors that NACE highlights, how does that show up in your work and what you all do at AstraZeneca?
Sure. So equity and inclusion, they're fundamental principles to the success of AstraZeneca and part of the strategic oversight of the organization as a whole. And, we believe that because of equity and inclusion or embedding these practices and concepts within our organization, it allows us to be innovative and break through in ideas that can only come from a diverse workforce that's empowered to challenge conventional thinking. And so for us, we make sure to embed it in all of our ways of working, from very basic things. Again, we're a global company. So you have lots of cultures, you have lots of time zones, you have lots of different things that you're dealing with that you don't necessarily have to deal with when you're in the, say just along the Northeast. So a very simple example of equity and inclusion we vary meeting times for international teams and audiences to ensure that we have as much inclusive participation and that we're hitting as many time zones as we possibly can. It's a very simple thing that we do as part of inclusion, but it's very important so that we're reaching the full scope of all of our global employees. Another example, we engage in a lot of cross-functional team problem solving. So we engage if there's something in one department, it's not just one department takes ownership. We have multiple different support functions to get a broad perspective and different ideas and different engagement in solving those particular problems so that we come up with the most inclusive and best solution possible. And I want to say from a more enterprise level, a really good example is at AstraZeneca, we encourage and support the creation of employee resource groups. So these would be women's networks, neurodiversity. Again, they're engaged and run by our employees. They're supported from a staff level, but it's really important to engage employees in kind of challenging some of those things. And anyone is able to participate in any BRG that we have. And again, the whole idea is to facilitate peer-to-peer support on a range of topics and help shape our work together.
Thank you so much for those examples and just showing the different areas and how it impacts all the different functional areas at AstraZeneca. Really appreciate that, Kristin. My final question for you is, what can students potentially do now while they're students at McDaniel to develop this competency, develop in this area, and potentially be better candidates for employers at organizations like yours?
Yeah, I think the best tip, opportunity is to find those opportunities, find opportunities to collaborate and engage with others from all backgrounds, all cultures. challenge yourself. Maybe something feels a little bit uncomfortable and you don't necessarily gravitate towards being, with that particular activity. Do it, right? Like, what's the worst that can happen? So kind of challenge yourself to go outside of what feels comfortable. And that's not just right while you're in university. That's in the real world. That's once you get out, that's in your daily life. Try and challenge yourself and engage in kind of those stretch opportunities is what we call them, kind of to stretch yourself. And just find avenues that you can share your story and experiences with others and that they're able to share that as well. And just always actively listen with an openness. And I think those are just kind of very simple things. There's no magic solution, but it's about making yourself open and allowing yourself to accept the opportunities that come to you and also seeking out the ones that help. So that's the best tip I could give.
Thank you, Kristin. Wonderful tip, wonderful insight, wonderful context. We really appreciate you taking the time today to share with us and look forward to partnering with you in the future.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.